Somebody come get 'em. They're too old for TikTok.
Hello and welcome to Too Old for TikTok. It is mid-June. Catalina, how are you?
I'm good, except you just gravely insulted me before we started recording.
I did? What did I do?
Because for the third week in a row, you thought that I would want to give an Old Navy update. If that's what my life...
I want to hear it.
However, I did other things last week.
Oh, besides like stock Old Navy and your old childhood home residence.
I have a life.
Red letters, you do?
I went to South Carolina.
Oh, right. You did go away.
Yeah.
But, oh, wow. Well, can you give a very brief Old Navy update?
There is no update. The update is I gave up. There is no update.
So you're not getting your packages or a refund?
I don't know.
TBD. We'll have to update for the rest of the month.
I complained to my credit card company, and I have an Old Navy complaint pending, but I had to wait until like 2 to 3 days post the package arriving to even be able to complain to Old Navy. And remember, there were 3 packages, so the third package arrived.
How could I forget?
Yeah, so anyway,
we have a programming note. We will be off next week, and then Catalina will be gallivanting around Europe because, as she said, she has a life besides Old Navy. And we'll have some special guests. So, yeah, the end of June and July, well, it'll be, surprise guests and Catalina sprinkled throughout.
Yeah, surprise kata, surprise guests.
Yeah, but next week we'll be off. So, very sorry to all our listeners.
Sorry to all. What will you be doing next week that requires off?
I will be in Vancouver with my mom. We're doing a little trip to there and Calgary as well.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, it's meant to be beautiful there. Isn't there some like glacier lake everyone goes to? Or is that Banff?
That's Banff. Calgary is close to Banff, but I think it's all like the Canadian Rockies are beautiful and there's water. And hopefully we get good weather. Right now it's supposed to rain, I think.
So you'll be doing like a mother-daughter 30-mile hike.
100-mile hike, actually.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I will be departing for Spain on Friday, and I will be, living my European academic life for the next 6 weeks.
Wow. Well, tell us a little bit about South Carolina, or were you in North Carolina?
I was in South Carolina. I was in Charleston. I was also in North Carolina because we drove.
Oh, you were in all the Carolinas. Did I see you went to Asheville?
Yes, that is in North Carolina. We stopped there for lunch on our way home.
How was it? I've always wanted to go.
The lunch was nice. I've only been to Asheville once as a child, and we went to like the Biltmore Estate or something, but we just stopped for lunch and then left, so I didn't see much, but it's very pretty. It's where the Blue Ridge Mountains, it's one of the segments of the Blue Ridge Mountains, so it's quite scenic. And we also went to Buc-ee's in Kentucky.
Love Buc-ee's in Kentucky. I forget that you're so close to Kentucky. It weird.
Was I mean, we intentionally, in order to go to Asheville, went on a 11 instead of 10-hour drive. It was something like 10 hours and 15 minutes if you went the way through West Virginia, or 10 hours and 50 minutes if you went the Asheville way. But in going on the Asheville way, you pass through 5 states. You go through South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, Ohio. 5 states.
Wow, thank you for the geography lesson.
You're welcome.
That's really cool, actually. That sounds like a very fun road trip. And you were with Ivan and Martin.
Mm-hmm. And I realized that Lexington, Kentucky is like basically 2.5 hours from Columbus, Ohio, which is almost as far as Cedar Point.
Yeah, wait, we could just, next time I visit Ohio,
we'll just go to Lexington.
Do a day trip to, yeah.
Exactly.
This weekend I went to Martha's Vineyard, which is quite a schlep to get to because you have to take the ferry. So you have to drive like 4 hours to the ferry and then get on an hour ferry, and then you're on Martha's Vineyard. But it was my first time, and it's very lovely there.
Oh, you've never been on Martha's Vineyard?
No, I haven't.
One of the best sandwiches I've ever had was in Martha's Vineyard.
Oh my God, you didn't tell me.
Well, I didn't know you were in Martha's Vineyard.
Oh, wow.
You didn't tell me.
Communicate enough.
Who'd you go with?
We went for Ben's 85th
birthday.
No, not Ben's 85th birthday. His grandma's 85th birthday. Ben's uncle has a house there, so he had the family over. and we celebrated his grandma's birthday, and it was so lovely.
Which town in Martha's Vineyard?
Now, there's a bunch of towns, and one is Oak Bluffs and one's Edgerton, but I don't think the house was in either of those. I forget which one it was in.
Yeah, I remember, I don't know which one it is that has the gingerbread houses.
Oh, that's Oak Bluffs. That's where the ferry stops. Yeah, we saw that.
Edgerton is where the sandwich was. I'm going to look up the name of the place. Do you want to guess what the ingredients were?
Lobster?
No.
Oh, chicken?
No.
Tuna?
No.
Was it a cold cut sandwich?
No.
Roast beef?
No, it was a Thanksgiving sandwich.
What time of year did you go?
Probably summer.
It's so weird to go to Martha's Vineyard and get a Thanksgiving sandwich.
Whatever.
So you got turkey, cranberry stuffing on a roll or something?
It wasn't I don't remember. It was 100 years ago, but it was quite delicious.
Wow, made a good impression on you. I had a lot of good lobster.
Yes, we also had lobster in Oak Bluff. This was when one of Alejandra's boyfriends worked on, well, it was her only boyfriend at the time, but he worked on a cruise ship that only went, like, you know the Viking River cruise ads that are like an elderly woman hugging like a 90-year-old Austrian like farm wife? It was kind of like that, but it was in the United States. Only older people went on it, and they went places like Connecticut and Martha's Vineyard. And so one of the stops where they docked was in Martha's Vineyard. So we drove there and spent the day. That was one of the times. Another time I went with my high school friends, including Ashley, friend of the pod, I think. And that was the time I had the Thanksgiving sandwich. And we camped in one of our friend's aunt's backyard. I don't know. Very strange.
Sounds like an adventure.
The things you do when you're 16.
Yeah, well, I think we should get to TikTok now.
Right.
Lots happening. I wasn't watching that much in the vineyard, but you were sending me a bunch of stuff I watched today, and then I got back on my algorithm, and it's great as usual. What's been on your For You page?
Something that frequently comes up on my For You page that I saw a good parody of today is girls packing, they call it packing, their Stanley cups, which already is just a troubling display of overconsumption. But they'll take their giant Stanley cup and then they put one of these like snack cups on it. And then they'll attach other gadgets. I've seen ones where like the Stanley Cup has an additional cup. I think a lot of it is rage bait at this point. It sort of reminds me in the reactions of the water trend where people were making their waters and everyone was just like getting so angry about the waters. But I saw a version of this by the user Emily Morin 1, and she packs her Stanley Cup, but it's a bit maybe too visual, but she tapes a gummy, a weed gummy, or she calls it, and people on TikTok call it a garden gummy, and just like random shit with blue electrical tape to her Stanley Cup, and it's perfection.
Pack my Stanley with me. I'm gonna go on a walk, and I'm only bringing my absolute necessities. So I start with a little garden gummy and some sunscreen. My garden gummy fell off of my Stanley, so I have to stick that back on. Blue painter's tape is my favorite thing to use to pack my Stanley. I know they make like little bags you can attach to it. I just think this is much more convenient to like tape whatever you want on there. That way you're not, restricted to what will fit in like a little bag. So I bring my iPod. Self-explanatory. I love to listen to music as I do my walks. Since I have my garden gummy, I might want a snack, and if I have a snack, I'm definitely going to cover it in Taco Bell sauce. I do a double tape layer reinforcement just to make sure everything stays in place, and then on my long charging cord, I tie on a chapstick, a Tide to Go stick, because if I'm eating Taco Bell sauce, I'm going to spill on myself. My antidepressants, those are very important. I bring my son along with me. I tuck him right into the sauce. And here is my Stanley all ready to go with my absolute necessities. Thanks for watching.
I like the big reveal at the end is that she also tapes a bunch of prescription pill bottles to it, and it looks sort of like a dangling, it looks like a Christmas tree, but everything's then dangling, and the electrical tape is hilarious because it looks chaotic, but in the true, Stanley videos where they're dressing them, everything is so beautiful and so put together, and like everything has a gadget, and then there's other gadgets for gadgets. So this one really was great. What would you pack on a Stanley if you had one?
I think I would maybe try to make it a replacement for a purse. So I would give it a holster, which some of these people do. I would give it a holster.
And put it
And put
a holster
myself,
on your belt?
No, I would put a holster on the
not
Stanley.
The Stanley on the,
and
right,
then in the
right.
holster, I would put my cell phone, and I would put my keys. And what else do I carry? My sunglasses. I would put my sunglasses. Whatever's in your purse, I would put on my Stanley Cup holster.
It feels way too heavy for me.
In no world would I do this.
Oh, okay. Yeah, neither would I. I don't carry around. I don't think either of us are like giant water girls. Well, you know me, I like my plastic water bottles, Poland Spring bottles, which is terrible.
I'm currently in a Nalgene phase. I always have a water bottle, but
OG Nalgene.
yeah, Nalgene is pretty OG. I just see, being a professor, I see these girls, the Stanley Cup is in, walking around campus with their Stanley Cup, and they're always like awkwardly gripping it. It's not a aerodynamic vessel. I also really like a water bottle you can throw in a bag and isn't going to get water everywhere. And Lord knows the Stanley Cup, the way that it is, it has a straw. It's going to get water, and it's also not going to fit in your bag. Yesterday, I saw an even more upsetting version of these videos that has caused me to reflect a little bit, because it was a girl packing her bag, and it was like packing my bag to go to work as as a homebody. And she was just putting so much fucking shit in her bag. And my friend had sent it to me, and I was like, what is the opposite of this? Because that's me.
You know what? My neck and my back hurt from carrying the luggage
your
this
pussy
weekend.
and your
I tried it. That was a good setup. Good job, Catalina. You
The
win.
podcast is over. We can go home now.
Yes. Okay. Well, yes.
Oh, but the reflection that I was having was those videos that are popular on TikTok that are like filmed in Asia somewhere, and it's a girl coming home and she has like all the gadgets. I find those so fun to watch, and I'm not horrified by them in the way that I'm horrified by the Stanley Cup videos. And I don't really know what the aspect of those videos. I think that those videos just seem so unrealistic and so clearly an advertisement for an Amazon storefront. And that's what these Stanley Cup videos are as well. But there's just like this little part of my brain that's like, no, this is a subsector, like a subsection of humanity that I'm just horrified by. These girls with their Stanley Cups.
It's very not New York City. I can't be carrying around a huge Stanley with all the accoutrements on it. I have my Uniqlo crossbody bag. It fits a water bottle, and it fits all the crap I need, and it's extremely lightweight. Because I like I said, I can't be carrying around heavy shit.
This comes from the same corner, or the same sort of thinking as the videos that you get where people are basically decanting their groceries, and they unpack them and put them into more aesthetically pleasing vessels and put them into their fridge in a very organized and beautiful way. This is suburban culture, but extreme suburban culture. This is things you don't need. Like, your package doesn't need to be unpacked and then put in a new package. This is consumer waste. And the Stanley Cup is just a microcosm of all of that, I think, which is why it upsets me so much. So I should be upset by the other videos as well, of the girl coming home and like sanitizing everything and then like steaming 100 things, but I'm not. And maybe that's a me thing.
No, I think because, like you said, those are so far out there. Like, we've never been into a home that has all those accoutrements and gadgets, so it's fun to see it on TikTok. Yeah. But we have seen people walk around with Stanleys, and like you in Ohio. So it's a little bit closer to home, and seems like, oh, like I could pass a girl on the street who's doing this, and it's dumb.
I've never seen someone with a Stanley that was prepared in that way.
Now it's going to be my goal to see this.
They'll put their headphones on. I mean, I just see it as a purse replacement. It's a purse replacement. Anyhow.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's move on. Before I get too upset about these fucking Stanley Cups. Okay. This next one is a video by Life with Becca K, and it's documenting before and after of hiking Mount Kilimanjaro.
Hi, I'm Lauren, and this is me before I hike Kilimanjaro. We walked for 13 fucking hours, and I thought it was gonna be 6. Now my tampon is at 11:30 p.m. Hi, I'm Lucy. This is me before I hike Mount Kilimanjaro. My name is Lucy, and this is me after climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. I'm Sydney Claire, and this is me before we hike Mount Kilimanjaro. Okay, go. I'm Sydney Claire, and this is me after not making it to the top of Kilimanjaro.
So the first one is the best one. That's what you just heard, because this girl is distraught. But then the last one is also a girl who got extremely sunburned.
Oh, that was the most horrifying
and
part.
Her lips had sun poisoning and they blew up and they were all crusty. She did a follow-up video. She is okay. But I didn't know friend groups were just going to hike Kilimanjaro. It seemed so casual. I didn't know that was a new thing young girls were doing.
I thought Kilimanjaro was in line with like hiking Mount Everest in terms of difficulty level. It
looks crazy.
There's some people who on the internet will be like, I hiked Mount Everest, and actually what they did was hike to base camp. And so
2 steps. But they said they walked like 12 hours. I'm sure they did. Also, one of the girls that they got said she couldn't finish it because there was some medical reason. So
I looked it up, and 12 hours would not get you to the top of Mount Kilimanjaro. I highly suspect that they hiked to base camp.
The whole thing.
No,
but
to base camp.
I commend them hiking it whatever way they did. And it's funny, this was the similar style of video I did for Cedar Point with this is me before 1 roller coaster and this is me after 6 roller coaster. But there was no reveal because nothing happens after you ride a roller coaster.
No, truly
You're totally
nothing.
Fine. But after you hike Kilimanjaro, you've seen some shit. You feel some shit.
True that. What about you, Dina? What's on your side of the algorithm?
I still got a great lead up to the Olympics, getting a lot of Olympic content. There's a video by lemonade_en.
For the Paris Olympics, organizers had promised free transport, additional metro lines, shiny new stadiums, and more. But now that we're less than 100 days away, what's actually happening? Let's talk promises versus reality, Olympics edition. First, the opening ceremony.
Tony Estanguet, president of Paris 2024, had promised a great celebration along the Seine with over 600,000 spectators. In the end, for safety reasons, the show will welcome half as many people, 326,000 to be exact.
In total, 10 to 15 million people are expected to attend the Olympic and the Paralympic Games this summer. But how will all these people get around?
Organizers said that part of the Grand Paris Express, a major expansion of the Paris Metro, would be completed by the Olympics.
Except most of the lines aren't ready yet. And public transport, which was supposed to be free for competition ticket holders, will actually be more expensive than normal.
This was decided by Île-de-France Mobilité, the organization that manages transport in the Paris region, who felt that this free service would cost too much. The price of Metro and RER regional train tickets will increase between July 20th and September 8th. Airport connections and day and week passes will also be more expensive.
Local residents who use single tickets are encouraged to purchase them before the event, while the prices of monthly and annual passes won't change.
Some swimming events are supposed to take place in the Seine, including the open water marathon and triathlon.
But with 3 months to go, we still don't know whether this will be possible.
The Seine has been undergoing decontamination for years in order to be swimmable by the Games. But despite 1.4 billion euros of investment
investment, the river exceeded the acceptable pollution threshold in August 2023. The authorities believe that disinfection of the river will be completed on time. Even so, they aren't ruling out the possibility that heavy rains could cause sewage to overflow into the river during the games. Plan B would be to postpone the events.
There's things that the host countries promise, and there are things that they don't deliver on, and I feel like this is for every Olympics that's ever existed, but it's just really interesting. The most interesting thing to me was the subway rise. Well, it's not called the subway there, excuse me, but the transportation, how they're not finishing those lines, and they were going to make it free, but now it's more expensive. So it just, the Olympics in a host country seems really foul.
Yeah. Yes, you have come to the conclusion that scholars for years have come to. The Olympics are generally used as a catalyst for urban interventions.
Right.
And very infrequently to the benefit of the inhabitants of the cities that host the Olympics. So
yes.
One of the most, of course, when she said that they didn't finish the whatever stadiums they were planning on completing in the suburb of Saint-Denis, I think it was, I went and looked up, of course, like the population of that suburb and the history behind that suburb. And it's a way, so often the Olympics are used in order to knock down or raise entire neighborhoods and portions of the city. So it's kind of interesting to me that they didn't manage to do anything there, at least from the very quick video that I saw. I'd have to look into it a little bit more. The promise for free transportation and then just doing the opposite of that was, I'd like to know the why behind that. I mean, evidently the why is because they ran out of money.
Right, exactly.
But it's just such a funny promise. I think that they should definitely charge for transportation for those who are attending the Olympics if it can be used for urban infrastructure in a way that is beneficial to the inhabitants of that city, and it's not just like leeching on the space. But that's just me.
I agree with that. But the other thing I'm most interested in seeing is the Seine River.
The Seine.
The Seine, sorry. June 23rd, I think, is when they're supposed to enter to see if it's actually going to be used for the Olympic Games. So I'm waiting. We'll see.
And what was she was saying in the video that if they can't use the Seine, that they're going to postpone the events, which that seems wild to me. Also,
I don't know.
Oftentimes when they host the Olympics in certain cities that can't house certain events, they do them in nearby cities.
Which they are doing for Paris. It's not all in Paris.
Right, so you would think they could find
over.
a swimming location.
Right, but I think they're so far into this cleaning and spending billions of dollars that they said it would be because of rain. So we'll see. I guess depends on the weather. But that's not fair to the athletes who are training to then have it postponed. But interesting. We'll see.
I've also seen some Olympics content on TikTok in the form of videos of rugby teams.
Yes, you sent me one by the Australian rugby team, and I mean, rugby players are just built very differently.
This was by a creator named Gain Lines Fitness, so I don't think this was actually the official account.
Not the official account,
but it was of the Australian rugby team, and it was very homoerotic.
Extremely. And then I got a video by James S. Ryan, and it's about the Spain rugby team.
Whoever's running the Spanish rugby team's TikTok account, I think I speak on behalf of every single person on this planet when I say thank you.
So then, of course, I looked for the Spain rugby team, and that the official account is also just, I mean, all these men are extremely hot.
Yeah. Who knew? Everyone.
Gonna be watching rugby. Yeah. I think the great thing about rugby is that they're not wearing any guards. Like in football, if you have a guy, you can't really see them because they're wearing so much padding.
Exactly.
Rugby, you just see them, in, I don't want to say skimpy clothes, but it's in like a soccer uniform.
Exactly. And they're much more muscular. They're much more burly than a soccer player who they tend to be a bit more lean. So they're like husky boys and girls.
All right, moving on to New York City TikTok. There's a video by News to Tunes about the ride in New York City, which I've been on twice. It's basically a bus that everyone looks one direction, and there are performers along the way that drives around New York. And the second time I went on is because Catalina's sister worked for the ride. Please tell us about Alejandra's job on the ride.
Right. So in this video, they're assuming that the people on the bus are idiots and think that this is real life. But the conceit of the ride is that you drive around essentially Midtown, and at different stops, or not even stops, the bus never stops, it just keeps driving, but it pauses because there's spontaneous performances of like tap dancing and ballet.
Yeah, Alejandra did the ballet in Columbus Circle.
Alejandra was the ballerina in Columbus Circle, so she would sit in Columbus Circle, wait for the bus to come around, do her little dance, and then wait another hour. She spent a lot of time in the mall at Columbus Circle because they would be there in the snow. And so they would get their little walkie-talkie or whatever communicative device and go back out and do their dance and then go back into the warmth. But there's multiple TV shows like Difficult People and Broad City that have done parodies of or like reference the ride. It's such a funny Manhattan thing. It's also been around for so long. Alejandra probably did that like 10 years ago. Why are people still going on this tour? You're not even seeing like important buildings.
But this video is so great because it's just a pedestrian walking in the street saying, these idiots think that it's just some normal person, but look, they're gonna perform. I love it.
She is gonna pretend to be on the phone. She's paid by this bus service, and she starts waving. She pretends like she's just walking, and she wants to wave at the bus. She's waving at the bus, and then she's pretending to be on the phone, but then she's going to start dancing. But she's actually a paid performer. She does a very good job. She's going to, and then all of these tourists on this bus are going to think like they're having a New York City moment. But it's actually a paid event. These people are suckers because they think they're having a special event, but it's all a setup.
Ugh, I'm obsessed with the ride. Such a thing.
All right, this is a great segue from New York City to brands on TikTok because this is very New York City adjacent. But the brand Shines Tie Threads made a video highlighting a New York TikToker, and the New York TikToker was not big. Because of this video, this New York TikToker has been blowing up, and this brand just highlighted him, and it's like such a great collaboration. I don't know. I love it.
There's an account on here that I've become obsessed with.
They're off, doors opening. Uh-oh. Referee has gotten in his way.
So he films himself getting off the New York subway every morning, and then he races all these people who have no idea that they're in a race.
Afterburger making the best of it, though. Slicing and dicing his way.
He goes back later and he adds these voiceover narrations, which I love.
She got to the leaders of the pack. To the stairs. Schappenberger surges ahead. My goodness. He's getting it. First placing. Defying all odds.
He doesn't always win, which I kind of love. He also posts his losses. But I'm obsessed with these videos, and I want one of you, if you live in New York, to find this guy and race him. This is what he looks like. And if you can beat Shopping Burger's time and prove it, I need the video footage, my company will refresh your whole underwear drawer. So that means if you want men's underwear, I'll send you a bunch of boxers. If you want women's underwear, I could do that too. Everybody's gonna get some of our socks unless you don't have feet, in which case I'll probably just send you more underwear. But I want someone to beat Shopping Burger at his own game. So his tag is, or his handle is Turnstile Boy. This is what he looks like. If you live in New York, if you take the subway, find this dude, race him, film it, come in first, and you'll get a bunch of new underwear. Meantime, give him a follow and then hit me in the comments with something like, hey, Shopping Burger, you're going down.
Would you refer to this as synergy?
I mean, sure, yeah, it's synergy. But no, because it's funny because the brand is like underwear and socks, and this video is about subway racing. So no, there's no synergy.
No, it
there
is
at
synergy.
all.
The definition of synergy is the interaction or cooperation of two or more organizations, substances, or other agents to produce a combined effect greater than the sum of their separate effects.
Yes, I know what synergy is, but this subway guy wasn't cooperating. He was just on
But
TikTok.
it's an interaction.
He
It's
doesn't know.
interaction or cooperation.
He hasn't interacted back yet. Yet is right. Yeah, so Shopping Burger. I now want to find him on the subway because this is such a fun. I will race him. I'll race Shopping Burger.
I would not. I have
wouldn't?
ankle problems.
Oh, well, I just love to get out of the subway as fast as possible. So when I get to work at the York Street stop, oh, this would be so much fun. I'd try to race.
I think I would trip and fall.
But that's sad for you.
Yeah.
One thing, that ankle necrosis of the ankle is really holding
Exactly. All the random men
so
in the
sorry.
subway that I could race, I've lost out on.
you back. Oh, so sorry.
Tragique.
Moving on to a great audio trend. There's a song by Alton King.
That she's off the market. All her girls like period, and all his boys like yeah. And all she wanna say is my fiance. Every other word is my fiance. Let me tell you all about my fiance. This is my ring from my fiance. He was on his A game. She was shook like okay. I'ma give her my last name, and I'ma have his baby. She's about to be a wife. And all her friends say she's about to be a wife. He about to.
So all of these women or couples are making these videos, and they're all Nigerian weddings. I think the first one that I saw was, I'm pretty sure, the original one by @RealEmma, and then another one that I saw was Lime and Heat. But they're lip syncing to the song and showing different parts of the wedding, and it's fun. It's really fun to see the weddings.
Oh my god, I want to have a wedding in Nigeria now. I mean, these outfits and outfit changes are just so extravagant. I've also seen a lot of TikToks just about Nigerian clothing in general, how they dress so well. But the weddings look so fun. Should I get married in Nigeria?
Well, I don't think that you have to be in Nigeria to have a wedding like this, first of all.
No, you don't. You can go to a Nigerian wedding in the States.
You have a bigger problem, which is you're not Nigerian and neither is your fiance.
Right, but if I got married in Nigeria...
You would have a Jewish wedding in Nigeria.
Yeah.
I mean, Jewish
exactly.
weddings are fun too, but there's not as much cool clothing as...
No, the clothing is not as great.
Yeah, I'm really into the outfits. I was loving it, but I wasn't sure if this was a really big trend. Like, did this come across your For You page at all?
No, it didn't.
I wonder if I got it because of engaging with wedding content, but now I would think you're engaging with more wedding content.
Probably. I mean, I'm sure I'll start seeing a lot more wedding content pop up.
Let's just check the sound now and see how many videos there are. There's really not that many videos in the grand scheme of videos going viral. So in this original one with the sound, there's only 4,226 as of today. And then when I clicked on the other sounds that people were using, there were only like 2,000 also. That's kind of surprising. I thought it was a bigger trend than it was, but I'm glad it graced my For You page.
Me too. Now, we have a great celebrity on TikTok spotlight, and that is the celebrity Whitney Port of The Hills. And it's full circle because their child had to sing the theme song of The Hills at their moving up ceremony. Here's the audio. And then the end of the video, I guess Whitney's partner pans to her and she's singing along. And all the comments are, oh my God, I can't believe everyone in the audience didn't look to you. This is definitely a millennial who was in charge of the choir and knew that Whitney was in the audience. It's just great. Heartwarming.
First of all, I just need to rewind. You said moving up ceremony?
Yeah, graduation. They call it a moving up ceremony.
Who calls it a moving up ceremony?
When it's not like, I don't know if this is high school or college. It's obviously not high school graduation, but yeah, look it up. Moving up ceremony. You're moving up.
That's fake. That's some newfangled fakeness.
It's for preschool, the moving up ceremony, because it's not like a graduation.
Why don't we just call it preschool graduation?
You know what? You're in the education field. You'd make that change.
I'm not in the preschool education field.
Well, then we should just leave it alone.
Moving up.
Moving on.
I liked the video, but it was reading like planned.
Like thirsty?
No, not thirsty, but I think that she knew. I just can't
imagine. Even if she knew, I thought the video was so cute.
I imagine it being like the music teacher was like, oh, let's do something. And then they had that idea together.
I don't think Whitney had anything to do with the song choice.
That's very kind and benevolent of you.
Thank
and
you.
Perhaps ignorant.
I'm giving Whitney all the credit she deserves.
For what?
For being on the hills.
You just want to believe in these organic moments, but this was produced.
This is not your hill to die on.
It's the hills to die on. All right. Finally.
Last but not least.
Finally.
A learning on TikTok, we have a video by b.dog.swag.
I took anthropology of alcohol in college because why wouldn't I? And here's some fun facts that I learned. If you drink a room temperature beer versus a cold beer, the room temperature beer is going to get you drunker faster because it goes into your bloodstream quicker because your body does not need to warm it up in order to process it. So it goes through your liver quicker whenever it's warm. Be careful. 1 beer on a boat equals 2 beers. 1 beer in a hot tub or a hot bath equals 2 beers. 1 beer equals 1 shot, and 1 beer also equals 1 cup of wine. 1 beer takes 1 hour for it to go through your body. For some people that are like, I'm a big guy, I don't get drunk quick. Well, your blood alcohol content might still be high, but you just won't feel the effects of it. So you could feel stone cold sober after 10 beers. I'll feel drunk off my ass on 10 beers. But our blood alcohol could be the same. Muscle absorbs alcohol more than fat does. So let's say you have a ripped person that weighs 200 pounds and then a chubby person that weighs 200 pounds. The chubby person is going to get drunker quicker because the fat does not absorb alcohol as much as muscle does. The bigger you are and the more muscle you have, the less you're going to feel the effects of the alcohol. The smaller you are and the thinner you are, the more you're going to feel it. Women tend to get drunker faster because we have less muscle and we're also smaller than men. Men naturally just have a higher muscle percentage than women, so that's why beer gets absorbed into their muscle faster than women do, so that's why we feel so drunk. Ask somebody the next time you see them, why is there red wine and why is there white wine? People are going to say, because of the grapes. Wrong. You ever open up a grape? You ever look in the middle of it? What color is it? Clear. The skin is the color difference, but all grapes on the inside is clear. So what makes it red and white? AKA, all juice from grapes is clear. They take the juice and they take red grapes and they leave the skins in it, and then it marinates and it colors the white juice from the grapes. And that's why you have red wine and that's why you have white wine. You could have white wine from red grapes. They just don't put the skins in there. There's this thing called Asian flush, and that's whenever your face gets really red whenever you drink alcohol, and that means that your liver is not processing it fast enough for the intake that you're doing, and it can potentially be a sign of liver failure. So if you ever see your face getting really red, you need to tone it down because your liver is not catching up to how much you're drinking.
What was your favorite takeaway from this?
Curiously, I found that I knew most of the things at the end of the video and didn't know or had forgotten the things in the beginning of the video. So when she was talking about how wine is made, I was like, yeah, I pay attention. Like, I know how wine is made.
Yeah,
I also
I've been on so many
want to say
you've been on so many wine.
You can say it's from the grapes because it's from the grape skins when we refer to a grape.
Agreed. I was also rubbing up against that too. I was like, yeah,
it is the grapes. It's
the
their
grape.
skin.
Yeah, it's the skin.
You use red grapes with their skins. Like, sorry that I didn't say grape skin for you. That's my point of contention. I didn't know about room temperature beer.
The most surprising fact for me is when you have a glow on your skin from alcohol, it means that your liver isn't processing it fast enough. And that happens to me. Sometimes I get red, and it means I should probably slow down a little bit.
Yeah, that's an interesting sign. I knew that people turned red, but I didn't know why they turned red. And
scary.
so the fact that it's about your liver, yeah, that's a good warning sign. Like, if you're turning red, maybe slow down. I know that there's like products too that help people who have difficulties digesting alcohol digest it better.
There's a product Danielle gave me called Z-Biotic. Actually, a lot of podcasts have sponsored by them, so they should sponsor us. But it apparently helps break down alcohol and like makes your hangover less. So, and I've had it, and I mean, maybe it helps. I think it helps. Sure.
I thought also an important point for you is a beer on a boat is 2 beers.
That isn't I always crave a beer on a boat. I'm not a beer person, but when I get off a boat or when I'm on a boat, I do want a beer.
I'm curious about the room temperature beer point as well. I didn't know about that. Also because I love cold drinks, so I don't want room temperature beer. I think it's
no one wants room temperature beer.
In Germany, they serve beer room temperature.
Right.
Yum.
Or if you get one of those giant boots and you're drinking it, it's a lot to drink, and then it becomes room temperature and you're getting drunker.
I was actually at a show a couple weeks ago and I bought a beer and I was drinking it and it was very warm. It was disgusting. And then I went up and I ordered another one. It was a Modelo also. I think they were just like not in the fridge, and they gave it to me and it was lukewarm again. And I asked to switch it out for a PBR and they did, but I had paid more for the Modelo.
You didn't get your money's
I mean, it was like
worth.
$1. It's fine.
Oh my God, write a letter.
Dear Ace of Cups venue, I was recently at a metal show that I didn't pay to go to because it was a friend of my husband's from childhood, and I was served a lukewarm Modelo beer. Period. What did you say about Sweet Green? This is disturbing.
The salon show disturbed me. It reminds me of when I went to Grand Central. I ordered from Zabar's and I got a bagel and with lox, and I paid for a bagel with lox, which is so expensive. I got on the train. It only had cream cheese.
That's offensive because that's $10 right there for just the lox. Your bagel was probably $4 and then.
Yeah, exactly.
What did you do?
Horrible. I didn't do anything. I didn't have the bandwidth at the time.
See, it all depends on bandwidth.
Yeah, you had a lot of bandwidth to deal with Old Navy.
I've run out of bandwidth. That's why people keep asking me, and I'm like, I'm over it. It's done. I reached my rage zenith, and I hiked the Mount Kilimanjaro of rage, and I'm the girl who I have sunburn on my lips now.
All right. Well, this has been great. Again, we're off next week, and then we'll be back. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Bye.